Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, a show in which we discuss movies, both old and new. Today we have a new movie that just came out in the theaters for a general release. The week before it was in a few theaters, but now it's to a more general theater release this past weekend. And what is that movie title, Nathan?
That is Sean Baker's Anora, starring Mikey, Madison.
And a bunch of other people that we don't have in front of us, but
Bunch
they were
of
really
other
good.
people, yeah.
So it's Anora, directed by Sean Baker. And Nathan, tell us what this movie is about.
Yes, Anora is about a young woman named Annie, or Anora. She prefers Annie, and she works as a worker at a gentleman's club. She meets a very rich client. He is a young man from Russia, and he convinces her to get married and start a relationship. He pays her for it, and his family eventually finds out, and what ensues is just comical wackiness, insane situations, yelling, hilarity, drama, romance, and the works.
And how did you feel about this movie, Nathan?
I think...
As we sit here in dystopian America.
Fun.
It's election day here in America.
Yeah, you'll never see us again.
Yeah.
We're getting deported. I had no expectations, really, going into the movie. I have very little knowledge of Sean Baker. I think the only movie of his I've seen is The Florida Project, and then I see this movie getting heaps and heaps of hype and praise, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see. And then when I finally sat down to watch it last night, I really, really liked it. I think it is very good. It definitely lives up to its hype and deserves a lot of its praise that it's getting.
Yeah, I loved it. It's a great film. I watched it at the nearby AMC, and it was a rather packed crowd for how I thought the movie would be interpreted in terms of, like, obviously it's not a superhero movie, so I'm like, okay, if that's the case, not that many people. But I was surprised. I got to the theater, credits were rolling, the opening credits were rolling, and I sat and watched this 2.5-hour movie, and it's amazing. I loved it a lot.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. The crowd was really into it. I think in a lot of ways it's very telling of our current society. I know that's kind of a cringeworthy way of saying it, but I think in a lot of ways it's a fun, entertaining watch with great performances, and it's done by a director that really understood how to balance the comedic elements of the movie with the more serious elements of the movie. And Sean Baker hit it out of the park. It's a great movie. I loved it a lot.
No, I agree. There's such a great balance in the movie. I wasn't expecting it to be as funny as it was. I think once we get into the second act and the characters of his name is Vanya, his like family sends a bunch of basically just like goons to like go and collect him because he has married a worker, and just it's so funny. Just it becomes so chaotic. It reminded me of kind of like a Safdie Brothers movie, like Uncut Gem, Good Times. Just these
Editing really reminds me of that, yeah.
These incredibly long sequences of people just like shouting and being just like so insane, and just like the anxiety just slowly ramps up, as well as the comedy, because it's so ridiculous, and the performances, especially from the three Russian guys, are so funny, especially like working back and forth with Mikey Madison as Anora, she's amazing. She is the entire movie. It's her name, and she kills it in every single scene.
Her performance really reminded me of Margot Robbie's in Wolf of Wall Street.
I get
Jersey
that.
accent,
I can see that, yeah.
The more version, but I thought she did great. I mean, the entire movie kind of hinges on her performance. And the fact that she was able to really excel in the Jersey accent, the Brooklyn accent, and give like a really believable performance, I thought it was amazing. This is a movie that we do not recommend taking your child to.
Yeah, don't bring your kid. Don't. It'd be weird to watch with your parents.
Yeah.
Don't do that, because at a certain point I'm just like, oh wow, this movie's really fun and really funny. I'd like to show it to like my dad or something. He'd get a kick out of it. And then I remember the first like 30 minutes is just I'm like, I probably maybe shouldn't watch that with my dad.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy like the story of it all. I thought Sean Baker really did well with the editing. You mentioned the Safdie brothers, and I do enjoy the Safdie brothers. I really liked Uncut Gems, but the thing with the movie with Uncut Gems is that it gives you a headache by the end of the movie.
No, that's true. That is very true.
And by the end of this movie, I didn't get that. It felt very calm. I felt very calm, very soothed. Obviously, it's not a great ending, like in terms of like how it plays out. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a very sad and depressing ending.
Yeah, very. I had.
We'll
the
get
word
into spoilers later.
Melancholy is
very
what I was
melancholic.
thinking. Yeah.
Yes. But when I left the theater, I was like, oh, this was a pleasant experience. The ending is very sad, but it's still a pleasant experience. And I think a lot of it has to do with Mikey Madison's portrayal as Anora, as Annie, but also the surrounding characters. I think the comedic relief in this movie is great, and obviously we'll get into spoilers sooner than later because it's hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it or really getting into the finer details of it. But yeah, I mean, I thought the head honcho, the main guy that was trying to find Vanya,
his name like Toro, hilarious,
absolutely hilarious.
When we first see him at the baptism, it's so funny.
Yes.
And like you said, the editing in that scene, jumping back and forth between Mikey Madison kind of fighting the two goons in the house, and then this guy at like a baptism, just like constantly on the speakerphone trying to get information. It is, that entire sequence is like, that is the moment I really started to love the movie, that the movie really, like, the entire thing almost changes because the first act is just about Annie and the guy Vanya, kind of their relationship as it grows. They meet at the club. He kind of just hires her for some fun and eventually convinces her, be my girlfriend for a week. No, marry me so I don't have to go back to Russia and with my family, and that kind of build up. It's like that first act is just like this hedonistic party that they have, and that's what a lot of scenes are focusing on until we get to like reality kind of kicks down the door and we have these Russian goons just kind of coming in acting like
acting like pieces of crap essentially to Mikey Madison. But I think in a lot of ways what Sean Baker really does well in this movie and with the Florida Project in general is like his sort of commentary on class. I feel like that's a big sort of issue with his movies, or not issue, but a point that he makes. And I think in this movie he really does a great job in terms of showing the ways in which people try to enter into a new echelon of class. You know, because if you watch this movie, especially in the first act of the movie where they're trying to bond with one another, you can kind of tell that Mikey Madison's character is not really into this guy. You know, there's a little bit, like, obviously there's like chemistry there, and like obviously like you sort of see like a love like coming in, but you can sort of tell that at the end of the day, like, she understands the long game here as well in terms of what this means for getting her out of the situation. Yeah, no, their relationship, it's very interesting because also the performance of the guy who plays Vanya. I don't know his name. But
he looks like a Kennedy. He looks like JFK's grandson, Jack Schlossberg. No, but I really loved his performance because he's such a douche. He's such a douche. Yeah, no, he's a slimy little like trust fund douche, but he's also like incredibly charismatic and charming and funny, and so like, and you kind of root for him as well because like there's an endearing quality to him. Yeah, there's a sense that you're just like, this guy's kind of like a douche, but like he's also super fun and funny to be around, and so like in the sense that like Annie is kind of roped into this relationship, we as the audience are also kind of convinced that it's just like, oh no, this is a real relationship that we're seeing. We're also kind of seduced by the glamour of it. Yeah. Well, there's that scene where they're on the private jet. Oh yeah, just popping bottles. It's ridiculous, like a G6, and it's just it's a very telling. That moment in general is very telling of like the transactional quality of friendship there is on that plane. Because there's a scene later, and we'll get into spoilers later. Yeah. But you know, there's a scene in which
They're trying to find the whereabouts of this guy. And the way that these goons just destroy this friend's shop.
Oh, yeah. I love that scene.
Which was hilarious. But that is like a scene in which you realize, oh no, like this can all be just taken away from you in a second.
No, it's so wild. The movie has like... It really is like three very distinct acts. There's like the first act that is just the party. There's the second act where reality comes in and it becomes just buffoonery and nonsense. It is wild. And then the third act is sobering. Yeah. It's such a melancholic kind of close to the film that just kind of leaves you stunned. Like, I had a great theater experience with this movie. Because people were very...
You watched at your local AMC?
Yeah, big old AMC theater. People were chatty during the trailers, and I thought, ooh, this might not be a great...
Wait, you go to the movies to see the trailers? I time it out. Like, I time my theater experience.
You walk in after 20 minutes, and you're just like, oh, now the movie's starting. Yeah, no, I always time it incorrectly. I come in like 10, 15 minutes. I'm just like, they have to have wrapped up most of the trailers. No, they're barely halfway through. Yeah. But, no, my theater, they were so locked in. They were laughing. They were having such a good time with so much of the movie. Yeah. But then by the end, when it comes in, it's like those credits roll. You can hear a pin drop. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I heard someone behind me sniffling. I was just thinking...
They were crying?
Yeah. I was thinking, oh yeah, that's what we love.
Who was was it a woman? If I ask,
I couldn't tell. I don't know. Someone was crying.
Yeah. It felt like watching a funeral. It felt like you're at a funeral at the end of it because it just cuts to credits and there was no music. There was no tattoos. All the things she said being played at the end of the movie.
No. That's a great song though.
It is a great song, but that was in the movie. Yeah. Song. It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. We should probably get into spoilers.
Yeah, let's get into spoilers. I think we're good.
All right. So now. I wouldn't say this is a criticism of the movie, but I do feel like in the second act of the movie, it does slow things down just a tad bit. It felt like they were just aimlessly wandering around. I understand that that's the point, but there was like a few moments in the movie where I'm just like, okay, we gotta like.
I think that's just one of the pitfalls of another movie that is almost 2.5 hours long. There's too many of these movies are over 2 hours, and as much as I love Anora, you can shave a little bit. I think you could shave a little bit from the first act or a little from the third. The first act, there's a lot of just like montages of them partying that you can cut down a couple minutes from that. You can cut down a couple minutes.
I don't know, man.
Just kind of
when Mikey Madison was twerking and when Vanya was like acting like a bro. I thought that was hilarious.
That stuff is imperative to the film. When he started
dancing in the chair, I was like, okay, this is great. The way that he gets into bed is hilarious.
Oh my, he does like a somersault flip with his hanging out. That's so weird, so funny.
It's hilarious.
I hate how he plays video games. Like, how in movies when people are pretending to play a video game,
they just smash buttons.
They just smash buttons, and it looks so just stupid.
Yeah.
That has nothing to. That's not important to the movie, but it is just something I know. It's just like, this man's never played a video game in his life.
Yeah, he doesn't know the importance of wasting your time playing something that has no bearing on your real life, like a video game. Come on. You gotta know how to play video games.
That being said, my Street Fighter tournament is coming up, and I really hope you can come. I've been practicing.
Okay. Yeah, we're big fans of Street Fighter.
I like Street Fighter.
We like fighting the streets.
Round 1, fight!
Lord! Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Uh-oh, Richard!
Anyways, back to
what
the
were we
movie.
Talking about? Anora?
Okay. Back to Anora. Back to our feature presentation. I mean, overall, the second act, I felt like there were issues with it.
Okay.
Having said all that, I didn't mind it. I was still laughing. There's this scene in which his car gets towed, like Toro's car gets towed.
That was amazing.
And he instructs everyone to go into the car. He tries to pay off the tow guy. Isn't able to do that. gets in the car, drives in reverse, slams the gas, and is able to get away scot-free. Which is hilarious. It makes no sense, but it is hilarious.
That is such like wish fulfillment on screen. Just like when he pulls it away, I'm just like, you know what? Good
I side
for
with you,
man.
Yeah. We've all been in that situation where we park illegally, and we get into a little bit of a riff.
Yeah.
With the tow guys.
Exactly.
So we appreciate that. We hate government officials that are mean to us.
Yeah,
like tow guys.
Don't tow
or
my car.
Presidents that are blindly supporting Israel. Just it's a full range of government officials that we hate.
Wow, we're really gonna this episode is already very.
Hey man,
dated.
I voted. I'm a Samaritan. I'm a good Samaritan.
I know. Oh, you got the sticker.
I got the sticker.
I didn't. Vote.
I didn't bully a poll person to give me one. Getting back to the movie.
Yeah, no, I really love, again, when we're introduced to, I think it's Toros, Igor, and Gronvik, the like three guys that work for Vanya's parents. They just come in with such an energy. They are bumbling fools, but they're also just so charming. They come into the house. Mikey Madison just like kicks them and like kind of just kicks their ass just while they're just trying so hard to negotiate with her and also like tie her up and just get her to stop like attacking them. I love the scene where she starts screaming at the top of her lungs, and they all just look so confused. They're like, "Whoa, wait, no, don't do not say
Don't do
it." And then just Igor gets in her face and just screams until he's red. Stop, please, stop! Just they're such a great cast of characters, and that entire middle chunk where it's the four of them kind of scouring the streets it's so much fun, and that is where so much great stuff in this movie happens. Just the four of these people kind of wrapped up in a situation just in the middle of the night scouring these streets looking for one drunken fool. It's so fun and it's so endearing. One of them has a concussion the entire night. He is constantly passing out. He vomits in the seat of the car and they just keep pumping him with like pain meds.
There's that scene in which Toro is at a diner and he just scolds all these Arabs, being like, "You don't know hard work. You this generation, man. You don't respect old people." It's a great dude.
He just goes off while just like they're all in the booth. Like Igor, the way that man eats a cheeseburger is like, it's Oscar worthy. The way he just shoves it down his throat while he's avoiding an uncomfortable conversation with Anora is so funny. I think it is important to express, because we are in spoilers now.
Yeah, let's get into the third act of the movie.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the movie is kind of it's really building up this kind of relationship in the background, or this connection between Igor and Anora. And it's juxtaposed by the relationship Anora has with Vanya, who we learn is really just like a drunken little brat who just did all this to annoy his parents. He doesn't really love Annie. When they come to pick him up, he just acquiesces so quickly. He's like, yeah, no, this was just like for fun. This was just a fun week for me. I didn't really feel anything or have any obligations in this marriage that we have. It really was just a fun week for me. And just like, and yeah, that third act especially is so melancholic. It's so sobering because, again, another bit of reality starts barreling through the movie. It's like, this is no longer this kind of sweet little romance movie. It's a trust fund kid who kind of blows his way through someone's life and kind of wrecks it with no consequences whatsoever. There's that ending scene where Igor, who again has warmed up to Anora throughout the movie, takes a step forward and he says, I think it would be right if he were to apologize to her for all this. And his parents, being, rich pricks, they're like, no, he has nothing to apologize for. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's that scene that was very telling in which Vanya's mom and Annie get into it. And it's a really, like, confrontational kind of scene, and it culminates to her throwing the jacket at the mall. And it's played out very straight, and then all of a sudden you see the dad cracking up, and I was like, oh,
he's laughing so hard.
That scene really illustrates like the difference in terms of like the severity of what this scene means, or what that confrontation means. Like to the dad it means nothing, but to Annie it means everything.
Yeah, no, her entire life has been kind of flipped upside down, and for this affluent, rich family, it's just, it's another day. It doesn't even doesn't reach the barrier of their mind, and it's so telling in that movie. Just like the character of Vanya, why he is the way he is. He can just steamroll through this like 3 weeks of chaos and then not have to apologize or take any responsibility for his actions. It's very telling, and especially when you see who his parents are. They're just, rich, who it's barely even a slap on the wrist. They're just like, you do this all the time. You're gonna stay home and work. Like, is that it? That's all you're gonna do? That's it? That's his only consequence? Getting a job? What?
Yeah, being the heir to a multi-billion-dollar company, that's his punishment?
Yeah.
Wow. the trials we all have to face in
He's
life.
gonna have to sell his winery to pay for that ring.
He has to collect checks from the 90s.
And he grew up to direct Megalopolis. This is the Francis Ford Coppola
Megalopolis
story.
is a great movie. That's worth your time.
Annie, you think you can look into my Emersonian mind?
Yeah, so go back to the club.
You find me cruel, selfish, and unfeeling? I am. I work without caring what happens to either of us. So go back to the club.
But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and I think it's the scene that I think we're trying to get at here is the final scene in which Igor and Annie are in the car. They
have, again, because that third act and a lot of the second act is building kind of this budding kind of romance between the two, because Igor, even though, the first time we meet him, he has to tie up Annie so she doesn't kick another one of them in the face. We see that he's kind of the only person who is giving her like some modicum of support, and there's
despite Annie calling him an FAB.
Yep. We can't say that here, but...
Yeah, we can say booty, but we can't say FAB.
Yeah, no. But, no, they have such great chemistry for what screen time that they have together. There's this nice scene where they're just hanging out back at the mansion. They just start talking to one another, having a legitimate, like, emotional connection that leads to the very last scene of the movie where he reveals that he took back the engagement ring that Toros took from her, and that leads to her initiating with him in his grandmother's old car. And that scene is like, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I couldn't look at the movie.
It's a very uncomfortable scene, and I think that's on purpose, because eventually it just turns into her kind of breaking down and just like unleashing all this kind of anger and sadness that was in her the whole movie. She like hits him a couple times and eventually just like breaks down crying, and that is the literal end of the movie. Is this
cut to credits, no music playing.
You literally just
hear the windshield wipers.
You hear the windshield wipers of that car, and again, like, it's so sobering after all this madness that has occurred that we end on this incredibly vulnerable human moment between these two characters who are really the only two people in the movie who had a legitimate kind of emotional connection.
And it's also a moment of clarity for Annie's character, because she realizes that most of her relationships are transactional, and that in order for her to get her life back, that she must have to go back to that life that she tried to swear off.
I also like, there's just like a little, because Anora, I think she mentions she got her name from her grandmother, or she has some kind of connection with her grandmother, who is the Russian side of her family. And then we meet Igor, who we learn in that last scene. He's like, this car, this is my grandmother's car. And so that's a nice little connection between the two. Like, both have been kind of influenced by this matriarch and their family, and it's just very sweet.
Another connection, and cross this off the Ajay Nathan bingo, sheet that you have.
If you say James Franco, I'm leaving.
No. What I saw was a scene in which Annie and Igor look at each other in the car, and it was very similar to a scene in Split, directed by Shyamalan, in which Anya Taylor-Joy looks at James McAvoy's character. So, get on the pod, Shyamalan. Get on the pod. It was very similar to that scene. We love Shyamalan here. We should have gone to Shyamalan. I'm so mad we didn't go to Shyamalan.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year when we make enough money to go.
When we make enough money.
When we have enough for a Greyhound. So overall, final thoughts, wrapping up. What are your thoughts?
It's fantastic. Absolutely. I do recommend seeing it in a theater because I think there's a chance you will get lucky and have a very receptive audience. Again, my theater experience was great. People were laughing, and again, by that ending, absolute, complete, stunned silence. Just people just left with a sense of like, oh, human emotion and feeling. It shakes me to my core. It's a fantastic movie, and we highly recommend.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I might put it in my top 5.
Ooh.
I might put it in my top 5. And the illustrious Ajay top 5 movies of the year, I might put it in there. I liked it a lot. I understand why there's a lot of praise for it. And I think in a lot of ways this will be like the film that we look back at Sean Baker's career and say, oh yeah, this is the movie where it all culminated into making this one movie that defines his filmography.
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of pretentious, but just go with me. Just bear with me here. Go with it. I like this movie. I think this is easily his best film that he's directed.
I still haven't seen a lot of his other movies outside of
Red Rocket was good.
Florida Project. Yeah,
Florida Project is really good.
From my understanding, he shoots a lot of stuff like guerrilla style and just kind of starts filming wherever. That's a sense I was getting in the Las Vegas scene after they get married. They're just running around Las Vegas just shouting, "We are married! I am American!" And just like everyone in the crowd just kind of looks very confused, and they're like staring at the camera, and I'm thinking, oh, did he just like shoot this just out on the Las Vegas Strip, just like whatever?
Yeah.
Because I love that. I think that's very fun. I do like, again, from what little I know of Sean Baker and his work, I do like his style, very handheld, very a big focus on kind of the people on the fringes, people who don't have much of a kind of voice or like live a life that many people don't know about. And I love that this movie kind of gives that to people.
So yeah, overall we recommend Anora.
Highly.
We will highly recommend Anora. Go watch it at your local theater. Do a triple feature.
With what?
Watch Megalopolis, watch Anora, watch Journey Number 2 if it's in your theater, because it's only in select screens. So do a triple feature, spend your day like that, and that's all we have.
That's it. That's it for us, yeah.
We don't know what movie we'll discuss next.
It won't be Venom.
Okay.
It won't be Venom.
What movie are we discussing next?
Not Venom.
What movie? Just choose.
I don't know. I don't know. Transformers 1.
You do? You want to watch that movie instead?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm not watching Venom. I won't do it.
Why?
I hate Venom.
Venom. We are Venom.
Venom!
All right. That's it for us, guys. We enjoyed Anora. Go watch it. It's a great movie.
Go see it.
And that's it for us. Bye.